Veterans, you filed a claim with the VA. Months later, you received a rating decision, denied, denied, denied. The question I have for you is, do you know who actually denied your claim? Was it the VA rater or the VA third-party examiner that said no? In today's video, I'm going to explain and give you some examples as to who denied your VA claim. Make sure you stick around. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Before I get into today's video, make sure you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. So what I'm going to be talking about today, veterans, you filed a claim, you waited for months, you went through the process, maybe you had a CMP exam, maybe you didn't. You received a rating decision and a notification letter, and you're reading it, and it says denied, denied, denied. Now, a lot of veterans, they'll jump right on YouTube and say, the VA denied me, the VA denied me, the VA denied me. The VA is an institution, okay? There's some letters in front or on a building. You need to understand who, meaning individuals inside that institution, that said no. I'm going to give you some examples, all right? But more so, I'm going to give you some nuggets that will help you build a game plan going forward, okay? So it's very important that you understand what I'm about to explain to you. But you know what? Don't worry about it. I got plenty of examples, all right? So you file a claim to the VA, VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration. Maybe it's for PTSD, migraine, tinnitus, or whatever, okay? You don't get a call to show up for a CMP exam, compensation and pension exam. A few months down the road, you get a rating decision in the mail, denied, denied, denied. What you want to do, you want to look through the evidence section. What you're looking for to see if they did what is called an ACE exam. I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where I talked about what are ACE exams and what are some conditions they are prohibited from doing an ACE exam. One of those is mental. They're prohibited from doing a mental exam, a mental ACE exam, okay? So PTSD, migraines, and tinnitus. We'll just use those three claim conditions, all right? So they're not supposed to do an ACE exam. So you want to be looking through the evidence section to see, did they do an ACE exam for my migraines, tinnitus, and for mental conditions? Because I've seen the employees do it because they don't know about that M21-1 that prohibits ACE exams for mental conditions, okay? So in this example, you look through the rating decision, there's no ACE exams noted. You look through the rating narrative for each one of those conditions, and they do not mention, meaning the RVSR, the rater, do not mention any ACE exams, and they deny the claim. You need to read that narrative not once or twice, but maybe 3 times. If things are not documented, PTSD, if they can't confirm your stressor, they can't see anything about tinnitus or migraines in service, that means the rater said no. So then you want to understand exactly why they said no. That's very important. Some veterans, when they submit it, they get that rating decision, they don't read it. Some raters, they do not explain in detail as to why. I did a previous video where I stated I was showing you the M21-1, and I talked about this with Rate HQ a few months ago. You can ask for a long narrative so they can get a little bit detailed. You can ask for it. There's nothing saying that they have to do it. Hopefully, the rater that's reviewing your case, they actually take heed and like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get really detailed and tell the veteran as to why I am saying no. So if you don't get that CMP exam, you don't see in the evidence section and in the narrative, the VA rater talking about an ACE exam was completed, it was a rater that said no. Before you jump to a supplemental, before you jump to a high-level review, before you even jump to Board of Veterans Appeals, you need to understand why that person said no, okay? But most importantly, if you're claiming PTSD, you need to have a stressor. You got videos talking about that. Tinnitus, you need to be able to reasonably articulate your symptomology as it pertains to you being exposed to acoustic trauma. Also, migraines, are you claiming it's secondary to tinnitus? If not, direct service connection, we know you need 3 elements: current disability / diagnosis, a link in service, and a nexus, okay? So before you even file that claim, those are things that you need to understand. So that's an example when the rater said no. Now, using the same example, PTSD, migraines, and tinnitus. Let's say you have a confirmed stressor. You were in combat, okay? Tinnitus, you were 11 Bravo, 12 Bravo, 13 Bravo. Yes, you were exposed to acoustic trauma. Maybe you even have complaints, okay? Maybe you have complaints of tinnitus in service. Migraines, same thing. You went on sick call and you have complaints of migraines, or you may be claiming you're already service connected for tinnitus and you're claiming migraines secondary to that. In any event, you are awarded a VA C&P exam for all the conditions that you claim, okay? You go to that C&P exam, you're educated, you understand all the questions, you answer them, you go back home. Now you're waiting on the rating decision to come in the mail. You get it, denied, denied, denied. It's the first thing veterans read in the notification letter, and then they get to the rating decision and they read it again. But a lot of veterans I talk to, they don't take the time and go line by line in the narrative, not in the notification letter, because the notification letter, the VSR put that together. I am talking about the rating decision, because you get both letters in one packet, the notification letter and the rating decision. They don't take the time, meaning some of these veterans don't take the time to read line by line in the narrative to see what is stated. Now, if you read that narrative, okay, if you read that narrative and the rater puts in there, your VA C&P examiner negative stated less likely than not on C&P exam date at this date, and then they give an explanation, that rater just told you who said no. It was the VA C&P examiner, and what that rater is doing is giving you the medical opinion and the rationale, the reasoning as to why the examiner said no. So whenever I rated, adjudicated a claim, and it was a negative opinion from the VA examiner, I'm telling the vet exactly why that examiner said no. So they knew, hey, I'm the bearer of bad news, but you gave me enough evidence to get you to that C&P exam to see if there's a nexus between your link in service and your current disability or diagnosis. But the examiner said no. The nugget is, make sure you read that rating narrative, because if the rater puts the negative opinion and the rationale, now you are ready to build your game plan before you submit the high-level review or before you go to a judge. But let's say the rater does not put that information in there. You have 365 days from the date of the notification letter, not the rating, to do a high-level review / appeal, okay? You need to get a copy of that C&P exam and Nexus so you know what the rationale is, why that examiner provided a negative opinion, people. So that's how you know who denied your claim. If you didn't have a C&P exam, there was no ACE exam conducted. You don't see an ACE exam in the evidence section or the rating narrative. The rater said no. If you went to that C&P exam, okay, and you received a negative opinion, 9 times out of 10, the C&P examiner said no. But there are some cases where the examiner said yes. Bear with me now. The examiner said yes, gave a positive opinion, and the rater denied it. And you're like, Dwayne, how can that happen? I've seen it happen a lot, and it still is happening. Here's what went wrong. Somebody requested, more than likely, somebody requested a C&P exam when they shouldn't have. And I had it happen to me. For example, I had a VSR, and he really wasn't a good VSR. The veteran in his late statement says, I am filing an increase, let's say for a back condition. I can't remember the condition, so we'll just say back condition. I'm filing an increase for a back condition. Where the VSR, that's never rated, requests an increase exam for the back condition. I get home, I open up the veteran's file. Oh, increase. Ooh, look at the C&P exam. Yep, it's good to go. But I look at the previous rating code sheet, and the veteran is not service connected for the back. So I'm like, okay, well, let me look through the veteran's service treatment records from active duty to see if they had treatment, complaint, diagnosis, injury, or an event in service for the back. Nothing. I'm like, okay, let me look at the DD-214 and see if the veteran has an air assault badge or parachute badge. Nothing, because I'm thinking, well, let me send it back and just get a Nexus statement. Don't need the DBQ, but just get a Nexus statement because the veteran could have fell under a direct service connection. Nothing. So even though there was a positive opinion, I had to deny the claim for increase because the veteran wasn't even service connected and the veteran didn't meet the qualifications for the different ways of service connection. The VSR screwed up and requested an exam that should have never been requested, okay? So again, people, you have to understand who exactly said no. I just dropped some huge nuggets for you, all right? But at the end of the day, it's up to you to read that entire rating decision. With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you. Don't be frustrated, get educated.